Well, today I have the pleasure of interviewing David Stephen of dCS for HIFICLUBE.NET, which is my magazine. Welcome to Portugal.
Thank you.
And it's a real pleasure to be chatting with you about your new products. We'll talk about Varèse. What else? You name your products after iconic composers, Vivaldi, and Bartok, Rossini, and so on. And this time you chose Edgar Varèse, who no one knows.
Yeah.
I understand why, because I did my homework and I googled Varèse, and he was all about timbres, special effects, and pushing technologies to the limit.
Yeah.
I even listened to a few of his works, mostly percussion.
Ionization.
Yes. Why do you choose Edgar Varèse as your inspiration?
Yeah.
To name the new product.
Yeah, I think, like you say, the kind of the sounds and the music he created, and also the people he inspired. So for us, it's all, as you say, it's always been a composer name, but it felt like it was a great fit because for us, Varèse was taking us in a new direction. It's going to inspire, and it has already inspired with Lena and Apex and what we did in mechanical design, a lot of work and crossover. So it just felt like that was the right name, and the right type of person and philosophy, and hopefully it will be an inspiration for the next 10-15 years of dCS.
Mm-hmm. The price tag of the Varèse is steep. Frankly, it's more than my house. Are there many people in the world that can buy a Varèse tag? How many did you sell since it was launched?
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult to know how many people there are, but the price is the result of this is 5+ years of research and development. We develop all of our own software, we design our own hardware, we have to prototype multiple rounds of technologies and finished products, and we have to develop our own app, our own network interface. So there's a huge amount of R&D gone into Varèse, and you have to recover that investment if you're going to be successful as a business. And we're the type of company that I want to keep investing in R&D. I want to keep trying to push the state of the art. So I hope that Varèse is hugely successful, and I hope that there's thousands of music lovers out there that want that experience. But time will tell.
But isn't Varèse a ring DAC, a mono ring DAC? Two monos in this case.
Yeah, I mean it's more than that. So we I think dCS is unique in some ways because we have complete control of the entire signal path from the data coming in to the analog going out. So it gives us a lot of freedom and scope to be creative. So Varèse really started with how do we create this amazing musical experience, and how do we heighten it, and how do we keep people in the moment. So it was not just looking at the DACs, it was looking at, okay, well, how do we improve our mechanical design, how do we improve the interface and the user experience, how do we bring everything together. So it was an evolution of the ring DAC. So obviously now we have 2 rings, we have 96 current sources for each channel, 40 in phase, 40 anti-phase, so almost like a...
And how do you synchronize the mono DACs?
So
that's
difficult. So we've always wanted to explore the concept of mono DACs, or the hardware team had, and as Chris was working on the ring DAC, Apex came out of that research project. But to do the differential monos, you've got to run 40 in phase, 40 anti-phase, and sum and invert them. Now, the beauty of doing that is you get a 3 dB noise reduction, and the ring DAC had always, we would trade a little increase in noise for lower distortion, because for us distortion is, when your brain's processing music, that for us is a key area. So again, having a DAC for each channel, you've got one power supply and one clock reference to each channel. You've got infinite crosstalk.
Separate clocks too.
Yeah. But the challenge was, how do you keep the DACs in perfect sync?
Yep.
And that was something we
That's the
studied.
challenge.
Yeah, so we looked at audio over IP, we looked at protocols like AS67 and Ravenna and Dante, but they all use an external time source.
And you couldn't do that.
And we wanted to use the oscillators inside the DACs
Inside.
themselves. So that was where the software team then get involved, and we developed a system called Tomix, which uses the trailing edge of the clock signal as almost like a counter, so that the DACs know exactly what time to convert that, and it keeps them in perfect sync.
And you also worked on the connections.
Yes. So again, you can see how you solve one problem of, okay, we want a lower noise, lower distortion DAC with infinite crosstalk, one for each channel, and then we've got better drawn and power, but that brought a lot of other challenges. So I was, okay, how do you sync them? So then we developed Tomix, but then it's exactly right. Well, how do we carry that clock signal, but we also want to carry high data rates, and we also want to carry control information. So what we don't want is data-induced jitter and lots of cables and connections. So we developed an interface called Actus, but that took a number of years, and then you got to test it and make sure that it works.
You could not be dependent on third-party cables.
No.
Possible.
No, because they didn't exist, and we had to make sure that it's 6 twisted pairs of, it's like almost like an Ethernet cable, if you will. But we had to make sure that everything was kind of impedance matched, and the clock was away from the audio and the control. So again, that was someone in the hardware team who led that project from start to finish to spec the interface, design the cable, make sure we could test the cable, work on the connector design. So like I say, it was really a series of research and technology products, and then as we're listening at every stage to what's coming out of it, you start to then think, right, what does this look like as a music system? And that's the exciting part, when you're like, okay, how does this become real?
If you have a Vivaldi,
Yeah.
what difference should you expect from the Varèse?
Sonically or technically?
Not technically, sonically.
Yeah, I think Varèse just, there's the sense of space, the information retrieval, the decay, yeah, the tonality, yeah. So,
Decay, yes.
yeah, it just feels more real.
Decay usually means resolution, very high resolution.
Yeah, and everything, never feels congested, so the separation is there. It's a really hard thing to explain, and as I've been out there and we've been launching Varèse, you see people's reaction, emotionally, and then how they describe it, and it's hard to put into audio speak, if you will, because it is an emotional feeling. It's almost like the room and the space changes, and it feels more natural, and I think maybe that's, there's a lower noise floor, there's infinite crosstalk where your brain's no longer doing some of that processing that it needs to.
And does it sound more human?
I think so.
Now, like some people say LP.
Yes. Yeah, I think it absolutely. And the amazing thing is, a lot of the music we've been playing is 1644 recordings, so you're hearing things, and this is not just me, but people who've been in this industry 30, 40 years, they listen to a lot of products, they listen to a lot of music, and everyone's uncovering details and interpreting music in a different way, and it's what we're all about, right? It's why we do it.
Yeah, sure.
But just to get that from like a 1644 recording and know that it was always there, and we're pulling more out, it's a cool thing.
So you're happy about the
Yeah.
the outcome of the investment.
Yeah, I mean, there was times where I thought I was maybe crazy and we should have stopped. But again, like I said at the beginning, it's why we do what we do. We've always tried to be measurably and demonstrably the best at what we do.
Will there be a trickle-down version of Varèse for the common people?
It's interesting you say that. So, Varèse was 6 years in development, and Apex came out of the Varèse project, and that was rolled into everything we do. The Lena, again, the Lena has two common elements with Varèse. One is the mechanical design, where we wanted to machine the chassis from single billet. We wanted to, machine in the fixing points, get rid of like interpanels and standoffs and brackets. So when you machine from one single billet, the chassis can become a heat sink. It almost becomes like a Faraday cage, so you reduce noise. So there was all that mechanical design work that we were conceptualizing for Varèse. We brought to market in Lena.
Yeah,
The other thing,
the Lena, it's so lovely.
Yeah. The other thing we did in terms of the circuit board design, so we use all UK suppliers, and they're all at the top of their field and doing really interesting work in aerospace and Formula One and medical. And fortunately, one of our contract manufacturers was doing some work with a flex rigid PCB that folds in on itself. So the Lena DAC, for example, is a 4-point of flex circuit board. It's everything that we do, all the electronics, the DAC, the network, the power, the clocks, the FPGA, all in one single circuit board, a 12-layer board. So you've got no ribbon cables, no connectors.
It's a trickle-down version of the Varèse of sorts.
Because so then if you took a Lena DAC and you looked at a Varèse core, you would see the commonality in the mechanical design, but in the Varèse core we actually machined out recesses where the board folds in and noisy components are kept away from sensitive components. But the Varèse core has 9 points of flex, and the Lena has 4. So again, you've got thinking and approaches and technology already made its way through. And now the next step is, okay, how do we, because we've always been about kind of open standards and backwards compatibility, and for me, or not just me, the whole team, right, we realise that this can be an expensive hobby,
Very expensive.
but it is people's hobby, and they invest in us as a company and our products, and we want to take them on a journey. So the challenge now is how do we get compatibility between Varèse and Vivaldi, for example. Where can we go with Varèse, but also where can we go with Lena and Bartok and Rossini, because there's some work in the software side that we think we can bring to those products.
It's good to know that if you can't afford a Varèse, you can buy a Lena.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's the same signal processing, the same filtering, the same the same approach.
Same concept.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, we never set out to reduce performance. There's always so and it's not top down or bottom up. It's really we need to design so Lena was a one box high performance D2A, but let's use some of that new approaches to mechanical design and the single flex rigid circuit board and make the best app we can. With Varèse, it was much more trying to push the state of the art in lots of different areas, and then naturally, because of differential monodACs, you end up with 2 DACs. And then,
may I make a suggestion? Why don't you make 2 mono Lenas? You thought of that?
we thought of a lot of things. Yeah. There's a lot being worked on.
Use the same interconnect.
Yeah.
And atomics.
Yeah.
And you can join 2 together.
Yeah, we're looking at ways.
It will be a Varèse for the poor.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different directions we can take the Varèse technology and also the existing platforms. So this is the fun part now. You get out there, people use the product, you start to get ideas and insight, and then you're trying to think not just where our technology can go, but where's audio going. You know, what are the streaming services doing? What are the servers doing? How can we have a better integration with them? So it's an exciting time. I mean, there's so much music out there. It's so easy to discover it, to share it, and us and other companies are, you know, like us, we're at the forefront of that. So yeah.
Well, thank you, David. It's been a pleasure chatting with you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And I hope to see you in Munich
Yes,
in May.
for sure.
No new products, of course. You have the Varèse. No monolinas.
Not a modelling, I know. There might be something in it.
Thank you. Okay, a pleasure.